A respected sheriff vanished in 1975 after uncovering a vehicle theft ring, his silence bought, his name erased. For decades, the town believed the lie, while the real puppet masters, like investigator Brannick, rewrote the truth from the shadows. But when a forgotten safe cracked open and a bloody note surfaced, everything began to unravel fast. Just wait until you see how deep this conspiracy ran, and how justice, against all odds, finally fought back. In the morning haze, the DMV still smelled like wet paper and mildew. Casey stood in front of the break-room coffee pot, her hands trembling. No one else had noticed the workstation wipe. No one asked why the safe was suddenly sealed again with yellow tape and a handwritten, "Do not touch" sign. She poured coffee, hands shaking harder than the cup could hide. "You all right?" "Just tired," she muttered. "Heard you found something in the flood." The janitor grinned. "Just old files," she lied. But inside her bag was the note, the one with Decker's dried blood. She hadn't turned it in. She didn't trust anyone now. At 11:23, she slipped out and drove. Not to the police. Not yet. She went to the county archive, an ancient brick building nobody visited unless they were contesting a will or filing land use permits. She needed context. If Decker left a confession, it had to connect to something. The archivist, a woman named Merrill, recognized her from high school. "Still at the DMV?" "For now." "Looking for anything specific?" "Personnel files from 75, Sheriff's Department." Merrill raised an eyebrow but didn't ask questions. 10 minutes later, Casey sat with a box marked "Past Due" to be scanned. Inside were yellowing memos, pay stubs, shift reports. Then a note in blue ink. "Sheriff Decker requests access to vehicle seizure yard, after hours. Request denied by Supervisor Riley." And another, stamped confidential. "July 18th. Complaint filed by Decker. Allegation, unauthorized VIN transfers. Internal review suggested. No further action." Every page burned hotter in her hands. She copied what she could and left before noon. But the moment she stepped out into the sunlight, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. "Casey O'Hara? Who is this?" "You don't know what you're playing with." "Excuse me?" "You were seen entering the archive. Walk away." "Or what?" Silence. Then, "Ask your mother what happened to her brother in 76. The call cut. Her mother's brother? She never had an uncle, at least not one anyone talked about. She raced home, threw open a closet, climbed over boxes until she found what she was looking for. An old photo album, yellowing tape, plastic sheets curling. A photo, Thanksgiving 1974. Her mom, younger, a man next to her in uniform, sheriff's badge on his chest, but not Decker. The name tag said E. Keene. She called her mom. "Mom." "Who's this?" Silence. "Mom? That's your Uncle Eli. He left town." "No, he didn't. He vanished." "Casey, you never told me he worked under Decker, or that he disappeared a year before." Her mother broke. "He said something about a yard, about cars. Then he didn't come home. Police called it a personal crisis. That's what they told us." Casey felt ice grip her lungs. 2 disappearances. Same position, same whispers. Back at work, her access badge failed. Denied at the door. She buzzed twice. Riley's son, now acting supervisor, opened it with a smile that didn't touch his eyes. "You've been suspended." "For what?" "Violation of data protocols. Unauthorized entry into archive systems." "You wiped my workstation." "Get a lawyer, Casey." As she left, she glanced back. Riley Jr. stood in the doorway, phone to his ear, watching her. That night she couldn't sleep. Every shadow outside her window felt like a warning. She replayed the call, the photo, the note, and then she made a choice. At 3:12 a.m., she drove to the old sheriff's impound lot, closed since 1996, now overgrown and forgotten. The gate was chained, but the side fence was torn. She climbed through, flashlight in hand. The air smelled of rust and soil. She crossed the gravel yard, her boots crunching glass. Then, metal, a glint beneath a bush. She knelt, pulled it free. A license plate, stamped with a VIN. She checked the number against the copies from the archive. It matched one of the seized vehicles that never made it to auction. She wasn't chasing ghosts. She was standing in the middle of the crime scene, and someone else knew it. A shadow moved near the trailer at the far end of the lot, and the flashlight in her hand went out. The drawer creaked open like a coffin lid. Inside, a looped chain, brass keys, a sheriff's badge cracked by a bullet hole dead center. Blood still stained the metal rim. Casey's fingers hovered but didn't touch. She stared, breath shallow, heart hammering. If this was Decker's, then someone planted it here. Or worse, they never removed it. She backed away, reached for her phone. No signal. The overhead fluorescence buzzed once, then went black. The silence was deafening. Only the hum of the power box near the service hallway remained, like a heartbeat in the dark. A door slammed, far end of the building. Casey ducked behind the filing cabinets, gripping her phone like a weapon. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate. Whoever was inside wasn't checking pipes. She moved low, crawling past the registry counter. The flashlight on her keychain flickered once before dying. Her breath caught in her throat. Another step, closer. Then, a voice. Male, not yelling. Casual. Too casual. You should have left that drawer alone. Who are you? She hissed. Same man who kept this place quiet for 30 years. She bolted, down the aisle, past the desks. He didn't run. He followed, like a butcher before the first swing. She reached the emergency exit, shoved the bar. Nothing. Bolted shut. She turned. He was 10 feet away. Older, shaved head, black jacket, no badge, but the way he moved screamed lawman. You work for Riley? I worked for Decker, he said, until he started getting ideas. He found the yard. He found a lot more than that. She raised her phone, hit record. Say that again. He laughed. You think evidence matters? This town buried the truth before you were born. She hurled a chair. It hit him square in the chest. He stumbled, enough to run. She made it to the stairwell and slammed the door behind her. No time to think. 3rd floor. Records. She remembered a backup modem wired there during Y2K. She reached the room, yanked open the cabinet. Still there. Dusty, humming, but alive. She connected her phone. The recording uploaded. 10 seconds. 40. Complete. A sound below. Boots on concrete. He was coming. She opened the office window. Fire escape 6 feet across the gap. Rain slicked the metal railings. She backed up, ran, jumped. Her foot slipped, but she grabbed the ladder rung mid-air. Her shoulder screamed. She pulled up. He reached the window as she climbed down. Too late. She hit the alley and ran. When she got home, the file was already gone from her cloud. Deleted. Traced. But not before she emailed it. To Natalie Decker. Subject line. Your father was right. 2 hours later, Natalie called. That voice on the tape? You recognize it? I interned for him. His name's Brannock. He was chief investigator until 1986. What happened? He got promoted to internal affairs, then disappeared. Casey closed her eyes. Her fingers traced the bruise on her shoulder. Every instinct screamed to quit. Natalie's voice cut in cold. We go to the press, tonight. They'll bury it. They always do. Then we give them something they can't ignore. Casey opened the folder she'd stolen. Among the forged signatures, one VIN entry stood out, labeled Confiscated, Evidence Hold. Date, 2 months after Decker vanished. Owner, Harold Winstead. Casey froze. Your dad's deputy. He said he burned his note. So? Then why is his name on a car Decker filed himself, 2 months after he was declared missing? Natalie was silent. Then, where's that car now? Casey clicked the database. Impounded. Still registered. Locked in Yard B, Oak Ridge County impound. She read the location twice, then whispered, We're going to the yard. The storage unit smelled like gasoline and mildew. Casey flipped the last tape in her hands, labeled W. Winstead, Sep. 2. Natalie froze. That's Harold. Deputy who filed the missing report? That tape's dated after he said Decker vanished. They locked eyes. Natalie hit play. Static. A cough. Then Decker's voice again. He knew. Harold saw the manifest. VINs rerouted through impound. When I told him, he said I should disappear. Like Morales. Casey paused the tape. He lied to us. He wasn't scared. He was part of it. Natalie scanned the other labels. Dale Morgan, Oct 5. She raised an eyebrow. Morgan gave us this unit. You think he knew what was in it? He sent us here. They left fast. Wind whistled through the impound fence. Yard B sat silent, like a graveyard. But Natalie's jaw tightened. We find the Morales file. Where? Dispatch keeps off-site backups. If he filed a report before vanishing, it's there. They drove 30 minutes to a storage compound owned by the county. Natalie still had access from a civil case. Inside, metal drawers held decades of dispatch logs. Casey found the 1975 box. August, September. Here. They pulled file after file until Natalie found it. J. Morales, incident record 432G. The report was short, 1 paragraph. Suspicious vehicle activity observed behind impound yard. Supervisor Riley denies record of transfer. Officer advised silence pending clarification. Dated 3 days before Morales disappeared. He filed this, Casey whispered. Then he vanished. They looked at the bottom of the form. Filed, 090375. Countersigned, Morgan, D. Natalie's face drained. Morgan knew. They photocopied everything. But as they left the compound, a black SUV rolled past the gate. Tinted windows. No plates. Casey's phone buzzed. Unknown sender. 1 line. Stop digging or next tape is your name. She showed Natalie. They're watching the unit. Then we move now, while we still can. They went straight to a friend of Natalie's, a former local journalist named Quinn, who now ran a podcast on corruption cases. They uploaded the Decker tape, then the Morales file, then the photos from the storage unit. Quinn whistled. You're dropping napalm, you sure? We're not giving them time to erase this, Natalie said. You want it out raw? Tonight. No edits. Just truth. He scheduled the upload for midnight, but just as they stepped outside, Natalie's phone rang. Private number. She answered. Silence. Then a voice. Old. Familiar. You girls really think you're the first to try this? Who is this? Ask your friend Casey how she got into the DMV files. What do you mean? Those records were bait. Someone made sure she found them. Click. Natalie turned to her. What's he talking about? I hacked nothing. I found that drawer by accident. Or someone left it for you. They stood there, headlights glowing behind them. Same SUV. No driver visible. Just idling. Natalie whispered, This isn't just about Riley anymore. Then who? Whoever wanted Decker gone never left. And they're still watching the tapes. The SUV drove off slowly. Quinn's laptop dinged. Upload complete. At midnight, the world would hear Decker's voice. But 10 minutes later, the feed went black. The podcast channel wiped. Email account disabled. And a single message popped onto Quinn's screen. Final warning. Morales, Decker, you're next. Casey grabbed her coat. They erased the net. But not the storage logs, Natalie said. She held up a key. Decker's glove box key. They still hadn't opened his car. The one still sitting, sealed, in Yard B. Casey nodded. Then we go to the car. Natalie whispered. Right now. The email blinked at the top of Natalie's inbox like a detonator. 1 line. Subject, you're not done. Attachment, scanned DMV license renewal, dated 2002. The signature, clear, deliberate, Paul Decker. Casey stared at the screen. It's forged. It's exact, Natalie said. He died in 75. Or they used his identity. The funeral had ended hours ago. Oak Ridge was still digesting its shame. But this wasn't closure. It was bait. Casey pulled up DMV access logs. Parcel 122R had been updated twice before their discovery. Both edits listed under Archived User, Sheriff PD. She froze. That login shouldn't exist. The system purged old badges in '98. Then someone reinstated him. Why? To erase something, or to finish something. They traced the IP address, pinged a county-owned terminal, Room 4B, Upland Council Annex, a building supposedly shut down for asbestos since 2001. Natalie grabbed her keys. They drove in silence. Rain smeared the windshield. The annex loomed, dead lights, rusted door locks, but the main entrance had fresh scuff marks on the handle. Inside, the air was dry. No dust. Computers still warm. Casey sat at one terminal, bypassed the lock. The desktop lit up. Decker files, reopened last week, modified yesterday. What was changed? Status flag, from closed, deceased to pending, internal process. Natalie backed away. He's still active in the system, and someone wanted us to see that. Casey accessed the terminal logs. One name kept recurring. D. Brannick. Natalie's mouth hardened. That's the man who chased you in the DMV. Ex-IAD chief. Why would he reactivate a dead sheriff's credentials? Casey opened a side folder. Processing protocols. Inside, PDFs, schedules, payment manifests. But one image caught her breath. A live video feed. Parcel 122R. Same angle as when they found the well. Except now, a man in a hood stood near the site, holding a shovel. Natalie gasped. That's tonight. He's digging something up. Casey hit print. Files poured out. One page fell to the floor. Subject: Casey O'Hara. Surveillance initiated. Asset risk: moderate. She stared, face draining. They filed me as a liability. This isn't over, Natalie said. They were always 2 steps ahead. A click from the hallway. Casey grabbed the papers. Natalie whispered, "We're not alone." Footsteps. Heavy. Measured. They slipped into the server room. Lights off. Outside the door. "We warned you." Brannick, Natalie mouthed. A second voice joined him. Too late to run now. Casey checked her phone. No signal. But the terminal behind her still blinked. Upload progress, 23%. The video feed. The live documents. She slammed her USB into the port. "We stall him. 30 seconds. That's all I need." Then what? We don't die in this hallway. Natalie reached for the emergency sprinkler valve. "Smoke out the room. Confuse them." She yanked. A burst of cold mist exploded from the ceiling. Screams, coughing. They bolted. Down the hall, out the back door. Sirens echoed faintly now. Someone triggered a silent alarm. The USB transfer pinged complete just before the power cut. As they reached the car, Casey turned to Natalie. "That license renewal in 2002, maybe it wasn't forged. Don't. What if Decker didn't die in that well? He was buried with his badge. What if they buried someone else?" Natalie unlocked the glove box. Inside, Decker's original notebook, recovered weeks ago. She flipped to the last page. A single word. Switched. She stared at it, then at Casey. They buried the badge, but not the man. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number, no message, just an image. Surveillance photo. Casey at her mother's house. The file name, next of kin.